Hello. I almost I almost made this from my phone, and then at the very last minute, I changed my mind. Hello, and how's everybody doing? I'm feeling somewhat a little bit nervous and a little bit excited and a little bit like the kid before Christmas. Not sure exactly where that energy is coming from. Whenever we try to use our logical mind to figure out something that's coming from the psyche or from the unknown or from the underworld or even from the heavenly realms. It never makes any logical sense. Anyway, hello, Renegade. You got the notification. My two favorite people on YouTube, I never get notified. And it's funny because I am that kind of person that I will go look for them. But not everybody is that kind of person like me that'll go looking for people, knowing, oh, I know this person has a video. Why am I not getting notified? That's the question. Me try to be calm and cool and collective. That would be different for me. It still makes me nervous to do this stuff. Yeah. Thank you for looking for me, Rennie. I appreciate that. I am here today because I myself am kind of shocked and surprised um, about what's happening a little bit on social media. I haven't been on TikTok and I only listen to YouTube for certain things. So luckily it's not coming up there, but I've already said at least twice. It's so crazy to have such a big following on Facebook and tell people that I'm not going to be there for much longer and they still don't come over here. So I guess I'll figure it out when I'm gone between advertisements, sponsored information, AI, artwork, writing, conversations, all of that. Um, I'm really just about done with it. But I have to say that I was really, really shocked at the people on my friends list that were just crying and in shock and dismay over this election. Um, so I'm going to talk about that. And I'm going to talk about what the human body really is and whatever else happens, as always. I'm not liking the brightness in here. So let me turn that down a notch. I don't know why there's such an incredible difference when I go live on the computer as opposed to my phone. It's very strange. Yeah, but that is what it is. I cannot even begin to tell you how much of a victory I feel like this election is. And I cannot tell you how much of a victory I feel like this election was. And if you don't understand that, perhaps there's a little bit of studying or a little bit of catching up to do or something. Now, we know that people in the political arena are not perfect. There is no doubt in my mind about that. But the amount of people just crying and wanting to leave the country and all kinds of other things is very mind blowing to me, not because I know that there's a part of the population that feels that way or believes that way. The reason is because so many people talk about so many things in the spiritual essence of life and our body and divine relationships and all these other things. But yet somehow they've managed to not get any new perspective and about planet Earth in the last 6 years. And that part to me alone is really quite mind-blowing, and I'm going to tell you why. The biggest thing for me is, even though Trump was not from a political family, doesn't always say the right things, all of that stuff, and I totally get that. But what people don't seem to understand, and this is the part that blows my mind, in our community of people that are constantly sharing body awareness and spirit awareness and exercise awareness and taking care of yourself and all this other stuff, that these people have not managed to, in the last 6 years, get any kind of grasp that we are in a spiritual war. And that doesn't mean that we think any president is going to ever be a savior in 2024 or ever. But the thing is, if you have a basic understanding of what's going on, then you would realize that Trump is against the New World Order. And to me, that's the most important thing. With the help of Kennedy, I feel like they're going to get a lot done, because Kennedy and both Trump and Kennedy both have a really good grasp and understanding. Sorry, my ring light is knocking my camera down. Let me try to fix that. They understand that Big Pharma and Big Agra are running this planet and have been running this planet for a really long time. And there are a lot of people that do not want their health dictated by the government. They don't want their self-care dictated by any kind of governing body. And they don't want the food and the water and pharmaceuticals to be poison to plants, to animals, to humans, to all sentient life. Hello, Scott. I feel like it's been forever since I've seen you on a live. How are you doing? Okay, I'm trying to fix the O light in the camera, and the O light just keeps falling onto the camera. Okay, so this is a time for huge, huge change. Hello, James. Grand evening to you, and welcome to the news that is starting to make the news. I might have to change the name of the show here. This is about education. It's about indoctrination. Okay, so you're never going to realize that there's a problem. And I'm not really speaking to the three of you there. Hopefully we can get this information out there. I know you guys are all, James, Scott, and Rennie are all very familiar with this. But we are being poisoned by our water, by our food, and by our medicine. Okay. And I'm going to be paraphrasing here because I'm not going to remember exactly what it is. But Kennedy had made a post. I don't know why this is so incredibly blurry. Sorry, guys. Kennedy had made a post telling people in Big Agra and Big Pharma, if you are having something in this, if you are having a part of poisoning this planet, you better really think about what side you're on. And number two, he said, pack your bags, because all these things that are healing modalities, and many of you are into those things here, are being suppressed. We have the technology for free energy. We have the technology for med beds. We have all this amazing technology that all of you are aware of. But I just have to say that I was really totally and completely blown away by the amount of people in my feed crying. Now, one thing that I think a lot of us are aware of is Trump has no plans to mess with human rights. He has no plan on messing with women's rights. He has no plan on messing with gay rights or gay marriage or any of these things. And that's a very basic thing that I thought my brothers and sisters sharing, partaking in this light wave, this frequency wave, this light workers of planet Earth understood. And I was really blown away by the amount of people that didn't understand. On top of that, I was also blown away by the people that did understand, but wanted to be the middleman or the liaison or play constant devil's advocate and mess with both sides. And I even said something to somebody and he's like, oh, I like to play devil's advocate. It's like, we got enough effing problems without people who know the truth trying to mess with other people's minds right now, right? I try to be as clear and direct and as lighthearted about this information as I can, but nonetheless, I make it be to the truth that I know to the best of my own ability. That's what I share with you. He has no intention of going back and putting gay rights or women's rights in the graveyard, so to speak. His only goal is aimed at the corruption, and mostly the corruption in big pharmaceutical and big agriculture. I can never get enough water for some reason. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. James said it'll be interesting when the fluoride gets out of the water and the eyes begin to see more clearly. I have been telling my dad and anyone else that'll listen for the last 6 years, if you take the food away from people that, and I'm not talking meat versus bread or what kind of diet, if you take away the food that contains the poison that keeps you from your lack of clarity, and you get rid of the fluoride out of the water, and you put these people out in nature for 30 days and take away their chemicals and all the crap that is keeping their third eye shut down, they would wake up, I believe, most of them in 30 days. So we have a lot of problems here. Pharmaceuticals and big agri are the majority of those. And so no matter what some of the other stances might be, personally, I think that this is the only way we can do this. And I see the other side that didn't vote for Trump constantly talking about he's just another billionaire with all this money and everything else. He's just another billionaire that doesn't care about you. All he cares about is money. All he cares about is big business, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right? So here's the thing. He really doesn't. In his personal life, he may, right? But that's a very different story from how we might be or how we might act personally. You guys know that I stopped watching television altogether. I think it was 2014, so it's been 10 years. At one time, before I permanently ditched the television, I watched this show called The Apprentice, starring Donald Trump. Okay, so, okay, take your doggy for your walk, Rennie. I'll see you later. This was very strange to me, okay? I have been this way my whole life, but I would say around 2014, everything seemed to amp up for me in a major way. It's a big undercover sting operation coming to a conclusion. Yes, James, exactly. But it's mind-blowing, especially after COVID and all the other things that have happened with forced vaccinations and everything else, that people still have no clue, okay? And you're over here worrying about women's rights or gay rights, or it's very rare that when someone comes into office, they go after something that's been well established for a really long time. Um, and all of this is really amazing to me. Some parts of it more than others. So, since I've been like this my entire life, I've learned to trust myself with whatever visions or messages or things that I'm receiving, even if they seemed crazy and out there. I have to believe in myself. I have to have self confidence and I have to have inner peace, right? There's no other thing to do except have inner peace. But here's what I want you to know. Having been out of the news cycle for 3 years already and had not having a television or watching a television for 3 years, every day I went to work. I had a very physical job, so I would come home and rest for 30 minutes, and then I would go out and I would run for between 4 and 9 miles a day. And this particular day, when I was meditating, and please keep in mind that we see things in whichever way are easiest for us to understand. So there was a group, and I will say that it was somewhat secretive. Now, was it a bunch of beings, terrestrial beings that live here that are not from this planet? I don't even know what to call them anymore. I guess we'll call them terrestrial instead of calling them extraterrestrial because millions of them live here. I've said that to you many times. So when I laid down to meditation, what I saw was a group of people, men and women, essentially show up to Trump and asked him to go somewhere with them. Now, was he in a spaceship? Was he off planet? Was he in an underground bunker? I don't know where Trump was. I don't know where they took Trump. What I do know is here's what I saw. And this was mind blowing to me at the time because I had no other reference for him other than The Apprentice, right? So I saw this group of beings come and get Trump, take him in a car, and then take him to a location that was like, I can only describe as a sealed room. So there would have been no way for anyone to record the conversation. There would have been no way for spying technology or looking glass technology or any of that stuff to interfere and or tap in and or know exactly what was going on once he got picked up. And the long and short of the story is they gave Trump a very brief summation of what a group of people on the planet was doing with Big Pharma, with Big Agra, with Hollywood, all kinds of things. So I don't know how long this lasted because for me it lasted like 20 minutes. And the majority of it, well, Trump didn't say a word the entire time. So this group of people picked him up and took him somewhere off planet, on planet, I don't know, some undisclosed location and gave him a briefing on what was happening with the children, what was happening with Big Agra, Big Pharma, all these places, all these different things within the government and way above the government. And then when they were done, he was sitting there kind of with his mouth open. And I'm sure he understood some of what was going on in Hollywood and some of the other things because I've heard that he believes his son has Asperger's or a mild form of autism from vaccination. So everything was not a shock to him. They gave him this briefing, however long it was, and they said, will you be willing to stand up for the people on this planet? And he looked really confused, like what they were actually asking him to do. And then they just flat out said, we want you to run for president. And we do know it's a bit of a wild card. Think about the Trump card, right? The wild card in card games. We know it's a bit of a stretch. We know it's a bit of a wild card, but we don't have any other contenders that we can deal with this plan. So when it comes to the way he speaks or whatever, now, if I believe he was part of a crime syndicate or had done half the things or even any of the things that mainstream media and social media is showing you, I wouldn't feel this way. So keep in mind, as I witnessed this, I'm like in my brain thinking, why would a group of people looking to cause a major shift at the time of ascension be picking up the guy from The Apprentice? Because that's the only thing I knew about Donald Trump, was that he was on The Apprentice. Why in the world would they be picking up the guy from The Apprentice and asking him to run for president? And that's when I started diving into the underground geopolitical scene, which I am no longer a part of. Okay. So I'm just saying to you that in the spiritual community, the thousands of people in my Facebook feed that don't seem to understand that this is a war for your consciousness, whether your consciousness, whether your vessel is going to be filled with hate and anger and remorse and grief, or whether we're going to stand together, be in our power, and do something about the way the planet has been controlled and manipulated. So I just wanted to share that with you. Prior to that, I had not delved into any underground politics or geopolitics or anything. My mind was a bit blown, not by the fact that I was having this vision, but by the fact that they were, again, picking up the guy from The Apprentice and asking him, after God knows how long of a briefing, to be president. So I thought that there were a lot more people that were open and receptive to what's going on. 22 minutes and 22 seconds. Polarity and duality. Okay. And that doesn't mean we like every single thing about any politician. But I can't see Kennedy up there saying, why are we banning raw milk? You know, why are people secretly sneaking it from farms? Why aren't we talking about the probiotics in the gut health of raw milk? Why aren't we talking about chelation? Why aren't we talking about chemtrails? Why aren't we talking about how our food is not even food anymore? It's been so modified, right? It's a hard one for me. And I will say with everyone. My neighbor is the only person that approached me that was very happy about the election. And she had made a post saying something not exactly about Donald Trump, and the backlash she got as a gay, lesbian person that has always been her, was not even thinking. Because immediately after I moved in here, she's like, "Are you awake?" And I asked her to elaborate because I really didn't feel like spilling my guts to a complete stranger after some of the things I'd gone through in my last apartment building. And she ended up saying, "Can I send you this and this?" And I looked at it briefly and I said, "I know everything already. This information comes from other people. This is awesome. I'm so glad you're aware of it. I'm so glad it's getting out there, but I am aware of it." But she said the backlash from the gay community, gay and lesbian community, was completely outrageous and actually brought her to tears, because she understands what you and I understand. The thing is we don't need to give our personal power away to anybody, right? I would be coming here with this exact same message if Kamala Harris had won. You don't see any political posting on my social media, right? On Facebook, you don't see me interacting with anybody and trying to shake them from their slumber or anything else. But I was very, very very, very amazed that so many people who claim to be in their discernment and in their power were so completely lost when it came to this election. The poisoning of the planet, to me, water, our food, everything that comes from big pharma and chemtrails, I think that is the most important and relevant thing going on for every single person. There are a lot of other things that are really, really important too, but this poisoning of sentient life, human beings through big pharma, big agri, and geoengineering affects every single person, every living, breathing entity on this planet is affected by those things. The reason why I would be coming here with the exact same message, even if I almost said marriage, the reason I would be coming here with the exact same message, even if Kamala Harris won, is because without internal peace, I have zero power. I don't have the power to move forward in my own life. I don't have the power to change myself. I don't have the power to speak, change this shift of dynamic into being. And I don't have the power to work with you and I, my brothers and sisters, on this planet to change anything. And until every single person realizes where their personal power comes from, we're going to be at a loss and we're going to be at a giant misunderstanding with our fellow brothers and sisters here on earth. All right. Your personal power comes from one place and one place only. Your personal power does not come from your job. Your personal power does not come from your relationship or your marriage. Your personal power does not come from money. It doesn't come from anything external to you. Your personal power comes from one thing and one thing alone, and that is your inner peace. If you don't have inner peace, you have no power. You have no power to change yourself. You have no power to change your relationships. You have no power to stand with your other brothers and sisters and change this world. Because without inner peace, you have no power. External reality wishes to steal your power. That's why the majority, not all, but the majority of things on media and social media are designed to put you on an emotional roller coaster. Oh my God, here's something great that's happening, just so they can then the next day or 5 hours later tell you something that's heart-wrenching or gut-wrenching or absolutely devastating. If you've watched any patterns in the news, you probably will have realized that this is happening. And not only is it designed to yank your chain or put you on an emotional roller coaster, it's designed so that you will feel and you will think that your internal peace comes from anything external to you, right? My video would have been the same whether Trump won or whether Kamala Harris won this election. My personal power and my personal peace is exactly the same. External reality wishes to steal your peace. So not only do that through the emotional roller coaster that they put you on through media and social media, they also do it by distracting you into thinking that if you have the coolest clothes and the greatest drinks and you're dancing to the latest trend on TikTok and you're doing what the external reality is doing, then you'll be happy. Then you'll have confidence. Then you'll have inner peace, right? It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way at all. If you get centered in yourself, then external reality cannot, will not ever steal your personal power. When you are centered, there is nothing out in the world stage that can do to you what some of these people feel like has been done to them through this election. And I'm not saying that we don't feel for our brothers and sisters going through hard times or things that are how we perceive as negative, storms, financial crisis, all these things. We do. We're empathic. We were built that way. But the difference is we can feel for someone. We can really help someone out mostly through our personal peace and mostly through praying or meditation or sending kind, loving, harmonious, peaceful energy to that group of people or to that person. That is the biggest thing that we can actually do. External reality wants to steal your personal power. And I was just amazed at how many people will give their power away totally and completely to external reality. This time of division, of course, is no accident. They've been working up to this. They've done this sort of thing for a millennia. But with COVID, that was really the biggest divide the planet has ever seen. I didn't talk to any person that was in any gray area about COVID. They were very much immersed in either one total direction or the other. There was no in between. And it was set up exactly that way. And all the crazy things that have been said on the news about the Republican Party, and specifically Trump, the majority of it is completely, totally made up. And a lot of it is completely and totally taken out of context. And also with AI, I've been talking about this for months. They can take my face or Trump's face or your face or anybody's face and put words to it, right? They can even take my voice from social media because they have that right. I signed that away when I signed up for social media, saying my intellectual pictures and videos and words and poetry and music, everything becomes the intellectual property of that platform. Okay, so here's the thing. You, I'm sure, have heard many people say that the body is, or referred to the body as a human vessel. Now, why would people, even ancient text, refer to the human body as an empty vessel? I should have made a picture. I meant to draw this out. Actually, I was thinking about it earlier and I was kind of laughing about it, but then I didn't do it. I actually can draw, but for the sake of time, we're going to make this real easy. Okay. Your body is a vessel. What is another word for vessel? Cup or container. Okay. When we think of our body, please disregard this drawing. But this is how we think of ourselves. Here I am. This is my body, right? This is my vessel. This is my container. And we think of it as full. We have blood and we have bones and we have skin and we have organs. This is what you actually are. This is you. You are an egg. I'm just kidding. You are a vessel. You are a container. You're not just this body of blood and bones and organs and tissues and muscles and fascia and all of that. You're the stick figure that I just drew with the circle around it. Your auric field, the auric field for a lot of humanity is 18 to 20 feet. For some of you, it's 200 feet. Some of you, it's even 1,000 feet. So the question becomes, the larger that field gets from you, the larger that circumference of that field, the more you can take in and hold wisdom, knowledge, energy, visions, all of this stuff. So instead of thinking of yourself as the stick person, think of yourself as this giant energy bubble that's walking around. Okay. And then what I'm about to say to you makes more sense. If you are a vessel, a cup, a container, that means that you have a lot of space within your energy field to hold things. What are you choosing to hold? As I said, the bigger your awareness, the bigger that auric field, the bigger that auric field or toroidal field is around your body. And the bigger that is, the more energy, the more information, the more wisdom, the more of everything you can see, feel, and hold within that auric field. Okay? Now, here's the thing. From wherever or whomever this design of the human vessel came from, that technically to us, even though energy feels and looks definitely solid and like it's full, bones, skin, blood, muscles, all of it, that is not all of what you are. You, even with someone, let's say someone with a very, very low awareness, is even that person is going to have an 18 to 20 foot auric field. Now, I'm telling you this to tell you that every program that's being run for you, on you, with you, within you, is designed to distract you from the fact that if you don't have inner peace, if you don't have personal peace, you have no power. Now, knowing as a designer, as a source of creation, that everybody had a 20-foot auric field or toroidal field, everyone had a 20-foot approximately vessel to fill up. That's why all these programs came into being. Because other than this energetic, physical mixture of what you are internally, your organs and all of that, you are a container or a vessel to hold things. And you have to be the one to decide what you are going to hold. Because what I'm saying to you is all of these programs, all of this external reality was then set knowing, and at our time way above our personal knowing of what these paradigms, what these educational indoctrinations and all of this was about. It was about using your vessel to fill you up with things in order to control you, manipulate you, and direct you. It's really important for you to understand that. And I always say this, but I'm not telling you to abstain from all, reading, watching, studying, or anything like that. But knowing that you are a vessel, a container for this wisdom and this energy that comes from the external reality. You want to be careful. You want to use your discernment, and you really want to pay attention to how much time you're putting yourself into this negative arena that is their agenda. Okay. What are you a container for? Why were you designed to be this container, right? Designed in the image of God, in the image of Source, Son of God. You were designed so that you could take this wisdom and this knowledge and choose the happiest, most brilliant life for yourself. And that's what most of the planet wants more than anything. And I know that there are a whole lot of us that, outside of trying to give people information or wake them up, want this administration to stop the geoengineering, Stop the fluoride in the water. Stop genetically screwing with everything to the point where when you cut a tomato, it doesn't even look like a tomato on the inside anymore. Because once we solve this problem, this external problem, more humans will understand what and who they are and what they were designed to do. Now, the entire indoctrinated system of religion and education was set up, and I know people don't want to believe this, but the whole entire thing was manipulated and controlled and set up so that you would never think outside the box, that you would never go against the majority, that you would never make waves in the program. Some people worked solely as they were designed. And I'm telling you, the infinite creator, when he designed you as this vessel, this cup, this container that has a 20-foot circumference around it. Even if you are totally asleep, you still have that. You're still filling your container with everything you ingest. And I know there's been a lot of talk for many decades, but specifically the last couple years, about how we treat ourselves, what we put into our body, what we're drinking, what we're smoking, what kind of things we're eating. Okay. Now, this is the other half of that equation, because it doesn't matter how pure you're eating or drinking or anything else in your diet. If you are still putting yourself in a place energetically that does not align with who you are. Now, the education system, the religious system, and all other indoctrinated systems understood that you are a vessel and designed programs, designed things to fill you up, to fill your cup, to fill your container. Everything that was designed in your reality that is controlling or manipulative was designed to fill your vessel, to fill your container with a multitude of indoctrinated ideals or a certain set of programs to keep you in line, to keep you from speaking out, to keep you from finding your joy, right? Because simple explanation. If you have in your family 6 generations of lawyers and your parents were very, very adamant about you being a lawyer. Now, if the 6 other generations love being a lawyer, that's great. I have no problem with that. Just using this as an example. Those 5 or 6 generations may have loved being part of the judicial system. They may have absolutely lived for it. But if you don't want to, then they're going to come down on you doubly as hard because of the ingrained, indoctrinated education system. You were designed this way on purpose. Now, some people from kindergarten, grade school, high school, college, whatever, they were this container, this designed creator by source. They didn't give us the knowledge that we had such a huge and expansive container or vessel to hold the brilliance of love and peace and harmony so that we could live the most happiest, joyous life. People can talk about thousands of reasons why we came here. The biggest reason why we came here is to experience things that give us joy. And if we never did anything that didn't give us joy, it would never push us or lead us or invite us into another direction to desire anything else, right? So we're not perfect, and we are very much human. But some people work specifically as they were designed, as this container, as this vessel, to move and dress and drink and eat and read and study and educate and live the way the outside programs filling up the vessel, filling up your computer. I've said this over and over again. You are the most advanced technology on the planet. Do you think for 1 second that they are not aware that the human is the most advanced technology on this planet? They're completely and totally aware, or they wouldn't run program after program after program after program. My question to you is, did it work? Right? I didn't understand why I was experiencing the things I was experiencing in school from kindergarten all the way up until high school. I had no clue, but it felt trivial, it felt unimportant, and more importantly, most of what I was being taught felt like a lie. Okay? So there are people that work their body in conjunction with their body mind spirit connection, their embodiment, their essence with the body mind spirit connection with this big empty vessel. They work exactly how the programmers knew you would work. So, did it work on you? And to what degree did it work on you up until the point of your 20s? Because a lot of things happen. We are all born psychic. We're born clairaudient. We're born clairvoyant. We are born this way. I say this all this time. I'm not like Lady Gaga. We are born this way. It's the indoctrinated programs that take us out of it, the disbelief from our educators or the church or our own family that we are this magnificent energetic field that has a very physical and real presence that came to alter not only our own personal reality, but the world. And I very much believe that I came here at this time for a reason, as I know you guys came here for a reason at this time. But how are you using your container? Now, I am not telling you the designer of the container is the person who is programming it. I'm just telling you that the programmers are aware of your design. I hope that makes sense. Maybe if anybody is like a computer engineer, you get what I'm saying. Okay. So I'm not telling you that we have some dark-sided shadow creator who created us just to fill us with programs. That is way too separate energy. The energy of source continues for an infinity, like the Mandelbrot set. Okay. It's just that there is a group of people that understand your design way better than most of you understand your design. And when you realize this, you'll realize why they run the programs, the way they run the programs. But some people work solely as their design, chasing money, chasing sexy women, chasing the latest drink or the newest bar that opened. And I'm not telling you not to take pleasure in physical life or from physical things, but I'm saying there very much needs to be some sort of very brilliant balance in these things. Because if we just go around soaking up every program that they're dumping into us, we will have no inner peace. And without that inner peace, we can't change ourselves, our lives, our future, or the future of this planet. And there are a whole lot of people walking around allowing that vessel, that cup, that container of self to be filled with extraneous and maleficent programs. One of the reasons I'm telling you this is because this goes along with the election. Every single person who has posted something about the election or said something to me in person about the election has said something that comes right off of mainstream media or social media programming. Well, Tina, you haven't watched television in 10 years, so how would you know? I know because they're all repeating the exact same thing. It's so incredibly bizarre, you know? I actually said to my sister, and this was a mistake that ended me in tears. If you ever want to know what a candidate is about, look at the bills they signed and look at the executive orders. She, of course, hung up on me. I did not realize that I wasn't saying, oh, yay, Trump, or anything. Very far from that. I just said we kind of have to dip out of the emotional media playground and look at what bills they've signed, what executive orders. And with Trump, it's very easy because he had a 4-year term. We can already just go back and look at what he's done. And why the hell doesn't anybody want to do that? They just allow their container to be filled with the program. They allow their chain to be constantly yanked by media. And it's crazy. Yeah, sound bites and memes. That's another thing too. And I understand the creative process. And like when you see a really beautiful song or dance on TikTok, I'm guilty of this. Like I posted this roller skating thing on my feed and some tunnel between, I think, Manhattan and New Jersey or something where I don't know if it's once a week or once a month. They shut it down and it's nothing but skaters. And I think I watched that like 30 times. I just couldn't stop watching it. So some of that is very positive. It's very brilliant. It's very uplifting. But also we have the regurgitation of things. I've talked about this before, where it's constantly like the same song, a million. It doesn't matter if it's a makeup video or a wedding, or it doesn't matter. Everything has the same song, like pumping out little robots. Okay. And there are a lot of people that are allowing, at a minimum, some are even inviting their selves, their channel, their vessel, their container to be filled with external programs. Okay. So they are working and falling for that, filling themselves with school and educational system and whatever. But it may, like me, it may not have worked on you. Okay. You may have been wearing your programming raincoat. Okay. So I'm sitting in school. Like, were you that person too? Like, were you a sponge for everything that the system doled out, every program that came along? Were you a sponge for it? Did you believe it? Did you do any research? Or were you like me and the thousands of others of us that are rolling our eyes, right? When it comes to the education system, you can pass or fail a grade. And if you don't, then you don't go any further and you don't get a job and all these other programs, right? But then we look at people on social media, or we look at someone like Justin Bieber, who had been turned down by record company over and over and over again, who said, screw it, I'm going to make my, own YouTube channel and I'm just going to start pumping my songs out. There he goes, millions and millions of views. And then the record execs came to him. It's a very backwards, inverted system that we live in, as you know. And everything that we were taught was a lie. Now, if you're not sure that when they started lying to you, maybe you thought it was in high school or college, here's something for you to think about. In kindergarten art class, they're teaching you the way to make green is yellow and blue. They're teaching you the way to make orange is red and yellow. Red, yellow, and blue are not primary colors, because if they were, you could make the color wheel out of those colors. And if the primary colors were red, yellow, and blue, then when you took apart your colored printer in your office or in your home and pulled it out, what does that printer say? Is it red, yellow, and blue? Or is it CYMK, right? So you have to ask yourself, Now, if you think about control and manipulation, you would think, well, they wouldn't surely start in kindergarten. I'm not even old enough to be programmed. But yes, I am, right? How frustrating is it for the child that tries to make the perfect orange, the child that has the soul of the artist who's working for hours to get some sort of orange shade that they're never, ever, ever gonna get? So they started lying to you in kindergarten as soon as you hit school. As soon as you hit school. So why the manipulation tactics and the control when you're 5 years old? Why? One, to make things seem a lot harder than it was. How hard would it be just to give us the correct primary colors, secondary, tertiary colors? How hard would that have been? For one thing, they wanted you to make sure that you understood that things were harder than they had to be, that you had this creative impulse and this creative vibe or creative desire to make happen, but it was really difficult because you weren't even told the truth about primary colors. It's absolute insanity. And the other reason that they did that was to basically keep you in a box where they could keep filling your vessel with the program they wanted you to follow and not the organicness of who you really are. I know, Rennie, that's nobody reads executive orders, right? The reason I started reading executive orders is because when I saw basically, we'll call it an abduction of Trump. I don't know whether they were terrestrial or not, but when I saw them briefing him, and the only place I knew him from uh, was seeing him on The Apprentice on television, I started really paying attention at the time to what he was saying and what some insiders and underground people were saying about him for that reason, right? That'd be like saying if you had a vision and you saw, them take Johnny Depp or someone that you see on television, and next thing you know, like he's running for Senate or something, you're going to be like, wait a minute, what? What's going on here? So you may not have been a sponge for every effing program that came down the pipe through indoctrinated education or indoctrinated religion, or even the food pyramid is a total incomplete lie. Everything you've been taught from kindergarten, starting with red, yellow, and blue being the primary colors, are a lie. It's all a lie. Your personal power to change your world, to change your reality, to make your reality peaceful, loving, brilliant, and joyful, which is the only reason you came from, and then shine that out into external reality, has been messed with in every way possible. And congratulations. For a lot of you, the indoctrination, no matter what form it came in, it didn't stick. You had a graduation of sorts, I guess, without the cap and gown. All right. But we have to understand that there are millions of people that are not of the same design of us. And there are millions of people because of their contamination. Now, it's amazing. I have met some people that smoke and drink and do all kinds of things, but they are still seeming to be part of this great awakening. Okay. So it's not to say you do one thing that's bad for you, you're not going to be awake. Okay. And as much as the spiritual community would love to deny this, you're smoking, you're drinking, you're eating occasional shit food, it's not near as determinate on your peace and your joy as what you are consuming external to you when you're listening to these other programs. Some of us just weren't able to be programmed. Some of us, the programming just didn't stick. And so there's a huge part of the population that really feels left in the cold physically by this election, by this horrible, horrible, horrible human being, as they like to say. They feel physically defeated. They feel out in the cold. They feel that it's going to do all these horrible things to their physical reality that are going to disturb the internal peace that they never had to begin with. This video would have been the same no matter who won. I would have still told you the Trump story of his abduction, whatever it was. Your centeredness should not be taken away by the external world. And again, it doesn't mean that we don't have sympathy or empathy, or that we don't ever feel discouraged from what's going on in reality. But there's a difference from being sad about it temporarily or discouraged about it than letting it tank your entire inner terrain. There are many thousands of people that feel left out in the cold and physical reality by this election. The light is right there for them to connect to, for them to see through other people, through information, however they want to do that. There are a lot of people that really need to take a look at their perspective and flip their perspective around. And if they weren't so busy regurgitating everything that they heard through the news and national news and some of it social media, they wouldn't be in this place to begin with. It is astonishing to me because I've known hundreds of people that are not awake that still aren't sure if fluoride's good, that are still not sure if genetically altered food is good. At least they're open partially for that. But it's time for us to make a judgment on where we're giving our energy when these people feel out in the cold. They can do the research. They don't want to. They don't want to do the work, right? And some will even call it, they don't want to do the shadow work, okay? So people think, I feel like a lot of people think in this area, this part of the community, that shadow work means that, oh, I'm ignoring or denying myself something that has affected my life, that affects my decision, that affects my growth and all these things. And you're right. But since this is a planet of duality and you're a body in 3D, so you're a body also of duality, that then means that it's not all one side or the other. It's not black and white, okay? This reality, as the Chinese know, many before them, is yin yang. It's a balance. So that shadow self is not just the little, person that was hung, that person that had a horrible experience growing up, okay? So maybe they have resistance to male energy, or maybe they have resistance to authority if it comes in the shape of a masculine energy. There's all these things that come from the way we grew up and the things that happen to us. We are all like this. The thing is, when you say do your shadow work, it doesn't just mean, oh, was Tina so disappointed when she was 7 years old that it really sent her on a path into a different direction. And while that may be true, the people doing the shadow work understand that it's not just the negative or the suppression of negative situations and things that have happened to you in your life. It also means the suppression of your positive things and your gifts. Okay. So when you're hearing someone talking about shadow work, oh, you have to get to the bottom of, why you are this way, or why you're that way, or why you're choosing the things that you're choosing and the situations and, the careers and whatever that you're choosing, is because of your shadow work needs to be done. But what those people are not telling you is your shadow work is also anything that you're not expressing that is true to you. Okay. I am a informational liaison that taps into hundreds and sometimes thousands of channels. Did I try to keep that in? Yes, I did. But when it came to my shadow work, when things started really amping up and I saw where this planet was going, and I just kept getting messages and visions and things that could help me understand, those things were not so specifically so I could share. They were so that I could learn how to traverse down my own path of light and joy and brilliance. But I couldn't do that while I was hiding the fact that I was psychic. I can never fully be in my joy. I can never fully be in my brilliance when I deny any aspect of myself that's true. And that could be me denying and saying, nope, I'm not in love with this person, even though I know I'm in love with them, right? That's part of the shadow self. I'm denying to be in love with someone when I'm in love with them. I could be not talking about it or denying the fact that I'm psychic when I am psychic. That's part of your shadow self. So it's not just the negative things that you're holding down or holding back. It's also the positive things and the gifts that you came into this planet with that you are not sharing. Okay. Your psychic ability, your clairvoyance, your clairaudience, your clairsentience, every single part of your essence relies on your receptivity. Do I believe this is happening? Do I believe that other person feels that way? Do I believe Trump was just abducted and asked to be president? Well, you can bet your ass that, when I saw that he was running for president, I was like, oh, wow. Because at that time I was sharing maybe with my mom and dad and maybe one other person. I had not started making videos at that time. And I was doing a little bit of writing in a cosmic, I think it was called Cosmic Voice or something on Facebook, but I was hiding in that group. Many people, thousands of people, are out in the cold from their own receptivity, and they're out in the cold from using their own discernment. And it's time for us to make a judgment on how much energy we give those people that don't want to look up and see the light. It's great when you're out in the cold and you really are cold and you're stranded and it's dark and you don't know where you are. But when there's a building right there that's lit up, or a church, or a friend or a family member that would listen to you, you're choosing to be out in the cold. You're choosing it. This is your choice. You can choose to look at things in a different perspective, which is, oh my freaking God, if this map is accurate that they're showing everyone of how many states and how many counties actually voted red, and that's true, oh my God, should I maybe do some research? Should I maybe allow a shift in my perspective? Because the world is going to change and shift whether you want it to or not. But it's time for those people to make that judgment who feel out in the cold when there are people and situations and buildings with lights on, whether they want to open that door and walk into it, or whether they just want to walk away shaking their head, complaining about women's rights and gay rights and how things are going to go backward into the Stone Ages. If you listen to anything, if you ever looked up a single executive order signed off on, initiated, or anything else by Donald Trump, you would see where his problem with reality, external reality, lies and what he is interested in fixing. And it doesn't have to do with any of these things that you're being told. And it's time for these people to have their quiet time, be allowed to make their judgment so they can get their new perspective, right? Again, if we were a divided country, I can even see it. But hundreds of thousands of people in this sort of energy of festivity, if they're seeing the same map that everyone else is seeing, it might be a really good time to walk into that church or ask that conspiracy theorist friend or do some executive order research. And it was mind blowing to me. And every time I see it, I don't even I don't even give it energy. I don't like it or dislike it or laugh at it or even comment on it, right? I can't walk the fourth dimensional bridge of information and knowledge for anyone. Everyone has to do that for themselves, all right? And there comes a time and a place that you and I are here to wake people up. And I know a lot of people get really bent out of shape about it. Some people think that we're not here to do anything. Some people think that we're here to wake everybody up. But the thing is, it doesn't, it's not we're here to wake people up or we're not. We're here to stay in our peaceful hermit bubble. It's not an either or. It depends where you are in your own personal ascension journey, right? I spent a lot of time trying to wake people up to certain things in external reality, food and chemtrails and fluoride and all of these things. But that's no longer my job, right? So it's not that it's the job of no one. It just becomes the job of a different frequency of people that they have caught on. And now it's easier to be the teacher. All right. We have to be really careful about where we're spending our time and our energy. Thank you so much for being here. Until next time. Bye.